welcome back to those two geeks. My name's Alex. His name's Joe. It is not that it matters to you. It is a Friday night. We are somewhat with it today.
Yeah,
we,
we're with it. There's
we're,
circumstances, but we're with it.
we're around.
Mhm.
So it is one of those days where, as I'm sure you're expecting, we don't have a plan. We were chatting earlier, and we didn't really know what we were going to talk about. I was like, you know what, we haven't talked about in forever. And if you're about to say toys, you're absolutely right, because we realized that we hadn't talked about. Like, I have no idea what Joe thinks about some of the Marvel Legends releases or
Same.
the
I mean,
the updates. Like, it's
yeah.
there's so many different things to talk about.
Mhm.
We are going to end up talking about X-Men '97
Of course. Thank
next.
God.
Are we doing it next week when just when everything's over?
We can do that, but we can also just kind of teaser it tonight because I just want to get your thoughts on like one pivotal or two pivotal moments, and then
I am finally fully caught up. So let's do that first, because that way we can deliberately cut ourselves out before we go into the
Yeah, fair enough. And if I sound a little low energy tonight, guys, it's just some personal stuff going on with my pup, and I'm just minding the homestead. But yeah, X-Men '97. I have been on this the second it's come out. Like, it's one of those shows, and those are far in between, but it's one of those shows that, like, the moment it drops, maybe not at midnight, but some point during the day it drops. I I have to see it. It's one of those shows that, like, I don't mind spoilers, and you know that, but this show is so well done that I don't want to be spoiled. Like, I want the guttural reaction when I go into it. That's why it's been so infuriating to hold my tongue for about 5 weeks.
Avoided spoilers for this show.
No
I
idea.
binged what, 6-7 episodes today.
Yeah.
Now, I definitely didn't pay full attention to every single moment. But yeah, I sat down and I had it on, partly in the background, partly fully focused on it.
Yeah, I am in shock you escaped episode 5's spoiler for 4 weeks.
I don't know if I did in retrospect, because I remember seeing somewhere the name is Gambit. Remember it? I was like, oh, that's a callback to one of the earlier episodes.
Yeah,
I was like, that's cool.
Episodes.
And and never really put it together. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh fuck, Gambit's not going to make it out of this one. Like, as I'm watching, I'm like, oh shit. So, and then after that, you were talking about how all of a sudden it went from a show for kids, or a show that kids can watch, to a show you probably want to watch with your kids if you're gonna watch it.
If your kids are like early teens, like 12, 13, 14, I would say use your discretion. They'll probably be fine. Your kids are 8 or 9. I probably wouldn't let them watch this, because what I love about this show, and I never expected it because it's a successor to a cartoon show that we watched as kids, they truly tailor-made this show 110% for the 30, 40-year-olds. This is not for kids. None of this is for kids. And I respect that so much.
I'm watching it, like, enjoying the hell out of it. I could not believe what I was watching for half of it.
Oh my God, dude. Like, you watched the original 2 episodes and they were good. They were really good, but it was more like, they were good. The second episode had a cool moment, but it was more animation heavy. It was more like, oh wow, this looks so much updated.
Not even that. I think it was good, but it was very much a this is going to be a fan service thing. You're going to enjoy it, but it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy because you're a fan. It's fully fan service. It might be okay. And then as it goes on, you're watching, like, this is significantly deeper than I was expecting, even out of an X-Men cartoon, or an X-Men thing. Like, it's significant.
So deep.
Yeah.
The storytelling level at this is hard to not put this on par with anything you see in the cinema for Marvel. It's so hard, because I would venture that, in my opinion, these are some of the absolute best Marvel Cinematic Universe moments we've received since they've called this show canon to the MCU. Then if you do that, this is some of this stuff. Like, I don't think I undersold it to you. I really
No,
don't. Like,
I would argue that if anything, you, well, no, I would, you did not oversell it to me in any way, shape, or
right,
form.
right.
It's one of the things I'm like, I don't quite understand how you
It's
didn't
just that
exactly
good.
undersell it, but it
I
it
know.
was phenomenal. It's
It
really good.
spoke for itself.
Yeah.
And that's what I told you. Like, I was adamant when we were on with Matthew. I was like, listen, I'm not underselling, I mean, overselling this. I'm not like
Yeah.
hyping it up to a level where you're going to be like, oh, that's it. Dude, no. Like,
Yeah. No.
because
Because
episodes
that's
five,
definitely happened before, right? Like we've
of
each
course
done
I
it
have.
to
I've
each other. Like,
hyperbole, yeah, hyperbole. I'm the king of that. Everyone, the biggest thing around my friends group is they tease the hell out of me every time I see like a new superhero movie. They text me right after. They're like, "Is it the best movie ever?" Because when I was younger, that used to be like every movie I saw would just get better and better, and I'd be like, "Oh my god,
the
best movie ever," and they just got
thing
tired of it.
is that when when you can enjoy something and you come like, oh my
Hmm.
god, that was the best thing ever. That's not a bad thing.
No,
I don't think that's a bad thing. If you're
no,
able to go in and enjoy a movie as the best thing ever and it's
right?
legitimate, why
Yeah,
why is that a bad thing that you can go, oh my god, that was so amazing, I loved it.
it's
Yeah, but it
not. It's
wasn't
the
very good.
goal. It's
Yeah,
the
but
goal.
in
Like, do
in
you
the
go into
moment,
something to be bored? No.
no, exactly. Like in the moment, when you leave the theater, if that movie is as good as it needs to be, that's all you need out of it. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
is it the best thing ever? Probably not. Did you
No.
enjoy it? Absolutely. That's what matters.
Right. And like I am very guilty of like being a prisoner of the moment. I've gotten a little bit better at it since I've known you because you're more, well, you're British. You're more reserved. You're more a little analytical and I'm a little more hard on my sleeve. I can tend to go into something and be like, "Oh my god, that was so fucking amazing." And then a watch back after, a time period, I'm like, "Oh, that wasn't so fucking amazing."
Yeah,
Hence
I mean, it was
Ant-Man, Quantum
yeah,
Mania.
like, it was good, but it's not like you need to run out and watch it over and over and
No.
over again, right? Like it's just one
No.
of those things.
No, I mean, there's a few things in my mind, and we discussed them with Matthew ad nauseum, but like, there's a few moments in cinema, non-regular superhero cinema. Like, there's a few moments in superhero cinema that I will stand by and say,
Mhm.
it took forever to get these things knocked off their perch. When
Yeah.
The Dark Knight dropped, like I said, I saw it 5 times in the
Mm.
theater within the first week. Like it took years for that thing to get knocked off. And you know what knocked it off? Logan knocked it off for me because I had already seen Dark Knight probably about 15 times at home and, all together by the time Logan came around. And Logan was like my new focal point and Logan was my new bar. And then what knocked Logan off? Um, I forget. No, nothing knocked Logan off for a very long time. Deadpool 1 came so very close
Mm.
just
It's
because
funny.
of how faithful it was.
Deadpool one is such a good movie, but I
Amazing.
find that I can't watch it the same way I can rewatch Logan.
Yeah, I get
And I
that. It's
and I
it's
don't
not
know if
the
it's,
same way.
yeah, like I don't know if it's just the comedy only hits a certain way so many times.
Hmm.
I find that there's
Yeah,
not many comedy movies I can watch ad nauseum unless it's like
correct.
a more of a physical comedy thing or something like that. So,
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I understand that standpoint. Like I will say Deadpool when it first came out, there's a famous quote of me on Facebook when it first came out. I saw it with my dad like opening night and I saw it two times that weekend with a very good friend of mine. And when I came home from Deadpool with my dad, I was so jazzed. I went on Facebook and I said, even if the cure to cancer comes out this weekend, it's the second best thing to happen to the world. And like, I got a lot of flack for that from people on Facebook and people who are my friends. They were like, "Are you?" I'm like, "Listen, it's hyperbole. I'm just explaining to you how good and how much I love it. And if anyone who's known me since I was a kid, everyone knows since '91, I have been a big Deadpool fan. Not of every story, but like when he came out, I just gravitated to him. It was the one thing out of Rob Liefeld's X Force besides Cable that really, really stuck with me.
yeah.
And go back and read Rob Liefeld's X-Force #1. It is got to be one of the worst fucking written comic books I've ever seen in my life to this day. And it was overprinted, and they thought it was gonna fucking break every record. It sold a lot, but it's worthless. It's toilet paper. And
There's
you know
so
what?
many around.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, every now and then something comes along, and I can't quite remember what took Logan off. I know when Iron Man 1 came out and the MCU was proper, I saw that 3 times, and I was so blown away because that was a movie I was like, okay, it's Iron Man. Okay, I like Robert Downey Jr., but I don't have the highest of expectations for this. It's
Yeah.
just going to be, and I was blown away, and it started something so special. I would say Avengers #1 before, Infinity War and Endgame hit me so hard. I remember coming out of Avengers #1 saying that was the closest thing to reading a comic book on a giant screen that I've ever done in my life, because it was so amazing. Like, I was like, how are they going to make everyone act on, like, how are they going to interact? How are they going to get enough face time? How is this going to work without being clunky and corny and whatever? And I don't like Joss Whedon for a lot of reasons, but I will say Avengers #1 is so up there. It's in the very, very top half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One, for representation. Two, just because he did it. He fucking put a ensemble team movie on the big screen with big stakes and pulled it off amazingly. Like, I like X-Men and I love X2 is one of my all-time favorites. But the X-Men franchise, let's be honest, was pretty dicey other than X2. And the fact that he was able to do it just blew my mind. Like, I love Fantastic Four. We know how near and dear to my heart they are. But can we call them good movies out of the moment? No, we definitely cannot. I've watched them multiple times and they're serviceable. So it's like every now and then something comes along. And I've always been a big proponent of story is story, no matter what vehicle it's told in. Whether it's animation, whether it's a reading book, or it's a movie, it can grab you. It can freaking hold you and make you feel. And honestly, I don't think I'm a prisoner of the moment. It's still tough. You can tell me. But X-Men 97 right now with 9 episodes is so close to Batman the Animated Series for me. Like, that's highest of praise that I can possibly.
I understand why you're saying that, and I don't think I disagree. It's been now the caveat to that is that it has been so long since I've seen Batman animated series in full that I don't want to say conclusively that this is a better animation. I recall we did years ago now, which is insane to say, but as
Didn't
I'm
we
getting
do our best Batman animated series?
I was
episodes?
just gonna say, yeah, we did years ago. It wasn't Batman; it was animated series.
Oh, I can't even remember what they were though.
Part of me wants to dig the old episode up, but I also don't want to listen. Yeah, I wonder if I can.
But yeah, I don't think I'm overselling it that way. And like, what is Batman the Animated Series? Batman the Animated Series is many people's favorite representation of Batman on any medium, because it just hit all the sweet spots and did something that has never been done before by a team you would have never expected. The team that helmed Tiny Toons made the best animated series of all time. Are you kidding me? But what did it have? It had story, it had heart, but the voice cast, that stellar voice cast and the believability is at its core of any animated series.
Yeah.
So I've always said, other than Batman the Animated Series, X-Men the original 92, to me, is one of the best voice casts of all time. It's one of the most believable voice casts of all time. Well, if that's true, 97 just destroys it out of the water. Like, it just, sometimes I forget I'm watching a cartoon when I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I've got to take myself like back for a few moments. Now, is it perfect? No. Have I bagged on it? Absolutely not. There's really nothing worth bagging on. even the weakest episode is the strongest in so many other shows. So with that aside, let's just jump to Gambit. Let's just jump to 5.
I was going to
your
say,
thoughts?
it if anything, it was the one of the best ways for that to happen, for him to go out. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was so well done.
Oh, it was amazing.
You knew going into him versus the Sentinel that it probably wasn't going to end the way that he wasn't going to walk away from it. I still really enjoyed it, and I say that just because you see Gambit running towards it. But I say that as a fan of other media where he gets his ass kicked and he drops and he gets back up and he's like, oh,
exactly.
I'm gonna be injured significantly. I didn't necessarily think it would kill him up until the point you see him stabbed. I'm like, holy shit, this isn't exactly a thing for kids. And then you see the purple energy come by. I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be fantastic.
Same. And it's like, we are conditioned because what were we told? This is the continuation of X-Men 92, which is a great cartoon in its totality. Because I've just rewatched almost all of it. I just finished the finale of season 4. I think it's called Beyond Good and Evil with Apocalypse. And it's good, but it has some dicey parts. Where season 5, I'll maintain, is definitely a way big dip in quality of that show, but that's okay. This could be technically X-Men season 5 or whatever. But yeah,
I think it's meant to be, right?
I don't know, because I think they really kind of brushed some stuff of season 5 in this show aside. They just brushed it aside like it didn't happen, probably because it's not, people's favorite thing, and that's probably smart. But I'm just like you. Even when the pipe is through him completely, I'm like, this is an X-Men show. He's gonna make it out. I mean, this is dramatic and it's amazing. My jaw was on the floor for the entire sequence in Genosha. Like the entire sequence once the Sentinels crashed the party, my jaw was on the freaking floor, bro. But it wasn't until Rogue held his body and said, I can't feel you anymore, that it got me. And I said, holy crap.
This is
show
actually
just
a
had
thing.
It just had its Game of Thrones moment. And the only thing I can liken it to, and I think that's why I told you and Matthew on the podcast, I was like, no, it hit me like Game of Thrones. And I don't mean Red Wedding. I mean the original Game of Thrones first season with Ned Stark, because it's been so rare that you see a protagonist that you are cling to and shoved and exposed to that just gets ripped from you. Like, you just don't expect it. And that's what I loved about Game of Thrones when it first came out. So this was the Game of Thrones moment. And then they hit you double with Magneto, because for a few episodes, you have no clue. You're like, well, I probably think if anyone made it, it's him. But like that touching moment with Leech and all this and that, I think the only thing that made me think Magneto was coming back was there was a clip that wasn't seen when they did like the sizzle reel of Magneto putting on his, purple and red helmet, which he didn't do in the show up till then. So I was like, oh, he's probably coming back. But Gambit, they did the best job in the world of subverting expectations and thinking that like you'd never know. So, I hope you have a little bit of time, because now I'm like amped up and now I'm excited.
Now you're awake. Yeah, I've got time.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw that. You're an X-Men fan. You're one of the biggest X-Men fans I know. For you, X-Men is Batman, or very close, because we both love Batman. How do you feel they are treating the property as a whole? Because to me, I want these people writing Marvel comics right now.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the soft reboot in the comics that they're doing to coincide with this. I think it makes sense. I mean, I understand the people that are upset at losing the Krakoan era. I do. Sure. I understand it. I also think that every so often, like every 4 or 5 years, a soft reboot like this isn't a bad thing. Because I fell off with the Krakoan era for almost everything but Wolverine. I'm 2 issues behind before you ask. With everything but
Okay.
Wolverine,
Right.
just because I just don't have the capacity to read all of it. And because the
It's so
Krakoan era
dense.
is so dense and it's so intertwined
Yeah.
across everything that
Mhm.
I didn't have capacity.
Yeah.
So I think that
Because
when it comes down to series like that, where you have like one or two, like a book focusing on a team, red team, blue team, whatever,
right.
as long as
Right.
you don't then include pivotal story points randomly in other things here and there, or you have like Excalibur
Right.
also tying into Krakoa. Oh, hey, this happened over there and this happened over there. That's fine, but
Mhm.
don't make me feel like I have to read the entire thing, even though you want me to buy everything. If
Right.
I
Of
can't
course.
read everything, well, then you're kind of
You're
screwed.
fucked. Yeah. I mean, ideally, it's a business, right? Marvel Comics is a
Yeah,
business. It's run by, cold-hearted bureaucrats who just like, hey, I don't care. Just move paper book numbers. I don't give a shit.
yeah.
It's not the teams that put their heart and soul into it because they do. It's the bureaucrats. It's the Bob Igers. It's the Permelter. I think his name is
Mhm.
like Ivil. It's those people that make the decisions. However, I can't deny, like Matthew said, the Krakoan era is one of the best-selling X-Men eras of all time, which also makes it so fascinating because I would say you and I, or the people who think like me, as far as this isn't my X-Men, it got to a point where I'm like, this isn't my X-Men. This isn't what I want to
Mm.
see. We're the vocal minority, I would say. But the problem is the majority who started the book didn't keep the steam all the way through. Like they dipped off. There was obviously they dipped off. Why are they jettison it if it's not as humanly popular, right? It's not the top thing anymore. It was for many, many months. You got to remember, how long did the Krakoan era go on for? Like 5 years?
5 years, I think.
Yeah, so it's not a short stint. But I think part of what you said is the storytelling. If they contained it to two titles a month with a main team or even a rotating team, but they had one vision and it was two titles, I think this thing would be going headstrong and it would have a ton of longevity. Problem
Mhm.
is they spread it across what, like something along the lines of 30 titles by the end of it, and all the tie-ins when they do like crossovers.
Yeah, it
It's
was a
too
lot.
much. Yeah, it's too much. How can you keep up with that many titles? So that's what I think made it fail. It failed me because it just became there's no stakes. Like there's no stakes. Like if you can resurrect, then what's the point? Like what am I invested in? Like where is the drama? If you can just resurrect the team, okay, then I know Wolverine's coming back next week, or I know Cyclops is coming back. And then they try to do a thing where it's like, well, they're coming back, but they're not they're not the same. It's like a digital imprint, and it's like that makes it even worse. Hold on one
Mhm.
second. So it's like, hold on, I'm just answering a text from the house.
Oh, no worries.
But
So
yeah, so
what
I mean, it's tough.
I've
But
been trying, I've been trying to find. This is just to take us back. I've been trying to find the episode where we talked about uh
Krakoa,
the cartoons. I'm currently in episode 181. I'm like, I don't,
oh
either I
Jesus,
didn't name it right or I forgot to name
probably.
it. But
So back then, you
I feel like
probably
it was a
didn't
lot
name it.
further. Yeah, because that would have been in the
I want to say it's after Infinity War,
after
but
Infinity.
I'm not 100% sure if it was after Endgame. It could have been. It definitely could have been, but it was absolutely after Infinity War. So Infinity War
Is
would put us at 2019
yeah. So we
or 2018.
incidentally, apparently, we had we were Gotham Weekly.
Yeah,
We were
I
far from
remember
weekly,
that.
so we did
Oh
9
my God,
episodes
yeah.
of Gotham Weekly.
Yep, yep.
Um, that we have here, and then there's those two geeks. It just is 1, 2, 3, and then we renamed
Mhm.
it those two
Yeah.
geeks with Alex and Joe at 15.
Yep.
And then I started naming the episode at episode 23. So as
Yep.
we switched back to those two geeks
Mhm.
without Alex and Joe in the title, and it was
Right.
just Year's End Part 1, Year's End Part 2. This is
Right.
entirely irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
But
of course. No, but I mean.
so Infinity War spoilers is episode 24.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be sometime after that. We had the one without a topic 2.
Yeah.
It's an inconsistent schedule. We had a schedule once. So I mean,
When my
this is
dad passed, it was definitely it was a varied schedule. It was tough for, I would say, a
I
couple months in 2019.
so we'd actually, I think 2019, the end of 2018, we'd started to get on a weekly schedule,
Right.
and then it wasn't until 2023 that we actually missed an episode for a weekend.
Yeah,
We
because
had
we were
we
on
had
all
we
cylinders
had we
every
had
single year.
yeah, we had one on every single
Yeah.
Sunday up
No,
until
and
I
you
think
always covered us if there was an
yeah, it
episode
was
that
up
was missed.
until
You covered us.
I think we missed 2 over the last 4 years, and they were
I'd
both
say
in
that's accurate.
2024. Yeah, they were both at the end of 2024.
Yeah, I'd say, like, I mean, again, everyone who's listening, we tangent. This is what we do. This one's kind of a slow kettle boil, or a slow boil of soup, if you will. Like, what really hit me was when Brett did the thing for 16 years of graphic policy. We were shouted out. Like, you'd think we'd go unnoticed, but we were fucking shouted out.
I completely missed out. Is it on a video?
It's on a YouTube.
Okay, I mean,
Or
this
it's also
this is
on
one
a
of those.
post.
Okay, this is one of those episodes where we had a plan to talk about toys, and we haven't actually started
And we
talking
will.
about toys
We
yet.
will.
Yeah.
But put it this way. Talking about X-Men 97 is going to lead us into talking about X-Men 97 toys, which will lead me into talking a little bit about Marvel Legends. But before we get further off the beaten path, X-Men 97, Gambit, one of the best Marvel
Yes.
MCU moments, period. Bar none. It's up there. Now, you're all caught up, right?
Yeah. The
Okay. So we predicted when we were doing our review prior to the episodes coming out, it was like 2 weeks prior to the episodes coming out.
Mhm.
We gave like our prediction and synopsis of like what we thought the show would be. Like we said, it would cherry pick from errors, and it would amalgam things. Even saying that, I did not see any of this shit coming, which is how brilliant it is. It's interwoven in a way that, like, yes, I know these classic beats, but even when they happen, I'm still shocked because I'm like, nah, they're not going to go there. But after Gambit, I should have said, oh, they'll go anywhere. But I didn't. Like, obviously, this last week's episode, the final panel is a mirror of, I want to say X-Men 25. Just
Yep.
X-Men. Yeah,
Nope,
it's a
it is.
mirror. Right. Did you see them go? I didn't see them going.
Honestly, I did see them going that way once I saw the asteroid floating. And I thought,
Okay.
I wonder if they're going to adapt Fatal Attractions, if they're going to do Zero Tolerance. Like,
Right.
how much of this are they going to do, and how long are we going to see Wolverine without adamantium for?
Right.
In the cartoon, if we see him without adamantium,
we will, obviously, because they greenlit season 2 and 3.
So what I meant by that is, will he actually take it all out, or will he revert to type and put it back in? Like, I'm fine either way. I think it'd be great either way. I'm just curious how it goes.
So other than, I'm sorry to cut you off, other than McAvoy and Fassbender, this is my favorite on-screen version of the Professor X Magneto dynamic. The voice cast is so great. And it's funny because it's obviously not the original Xavier. It's Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead, who's an amazing impressionist. But he's so good that I'm like, it sounds just slightly off from the original Xavier. Like, there's just, I don't know how to pinpoint like an octave or something, but it's undeniably Xavier. Whereas
what what
Magneto,
I
I
what I
could.
think is so good with
Mhm.
it is we know it's off because we've just been watching
Right.
the original cartoon. I can't call it the X-Men 92 run because it isn't, but you know
Right.
what I mean. Like
It's just
we've
X-Men.
just been
Yeah.
watching the original X-Men show. Had you not seen that in years, you wouldn't notice any difference. I mean, look at what we thought with
No.
Wolverine's voice. Like, this isn't right. And you watch,
Right.
like, yeah, it is. So,
Yeah, because you're so imprinted. Like this stuff,
yeah.
that's what special things do. When you're a kid and something takes you, like it sticks with you. Like Kevin Conroy's voice, I will be able to spot a Kevin Conroy impersonation from a mile away if it
Mhm.
ever happens. But like Wolverine, it sounded like a slight impersonation when we saw the trailer because you got
Yeah.
so little of him.
Yeah.
But now that I've heard him in every episode, I'm like, oh, geez, it's right back in the groove. It's just an
Yeah.
older, gruffer Wolverine, which makes
I,
sense because the guy's 30 years older.
yeah, this show is making me appreciate Cyclops so much
Oh
more.
my God, dude, they're making him such a badass. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't like him in the Bryan Singer movies. Like, I thought he was just a dink.
Yeah.
I was like, he's a dink. When they killed him off in X3 right away, I was like, good. I remember being in the theater with my buddy, and they're like, my buddy was like jaw stricken down. And the only thing I looked up and I said, oh, good. Finally got the weenie out. Like, I just had no fucks given. And that wasn't what it was supposed to elicit, but I was just like, good, because he's just annoying. You
Mhm.
were rooted for Wolverine that whole series. But yeah, this Cyclops from the get go has been great. Like the formation, the calls, everything, and then when he stands up to Senator Kelly, when he flips on Trish Tilby during the interview, like this is a Cyclops with backbone. This guy
Yeah.
is not a jellyfish. And I would like I'm speculating, but like my speculations have been completely wrong in this show so far. 110% wrong, which is a joy that I don't call something like we said in wrestling, like when they get it to the point where you're wrong, but you still love the product, it's amazing. That's magic. But with Cyclops, I'm like, are they going to go the Phoenix route with him eventually? Not maybe with the
I
Phoenix, but is he gonna?
I hope not, but I can see something like that eventually, maybe.
Yeah, because what they're doing is an amalgamation, right? They're not just doing straight faithful adaptations, which is also brilliant too, because they're taking a plot point that you love and remember, but they're putting a new modern unguessable twist on it. Like I will say this to me, and you are the X-Men, you're the guru, you are the guy, I bow to you on this one. They condensed Bastion so freaking well that it was palpable and it was enjoyable. And I was like, this makes so much more sense than like 2.5 years of drawn out comic storyline and very, very convoluted time travel and this and that. And, his mother's not his mother, but his mother's like they made it work in 3 episodes.
It,
Like
I,
fantastic.
I would actually argue they made it work better than they did in the comics, and
Okay.
I think that makes sense just because it's one of those things where. So I've been completely distracted by something I'm going to send
That's very
chat
okay.
in a second. I think it's one of those things that sometimes showing but not telling in
Mm-hmm.
detail is better. What was I was taught I
That's
was
right.
reading something about Red Dead Redemption 2, and there was something about a character that they'd hinted at very heavily throughout, but they never outright told you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a case of, hey, you know what? Sometimes the hint and the
Right.
inference is so much better than the outright,
Right.
hey, it's this. Because if you don't outright tell someone, then they can get it, or they get it, or they don't. And if they don't get it, it's not a
Right.
big deal. But if you do get it, it's better. And I think that the way that they told the story in the cartoon, for
Mm-hmm.
me, was better than what they did in the comics.
Oh, that's what the point I was getting. Like,
Yeah.
as a long-term reader of the comic book, I was in and out during the zero tolerance era.
Yeah.
I definitely read stories, but it was like it went on for years, like
Mm.
off and on. They defeated him. He came back. He came back in a different way. And it was like they did such a great job of making it digestible and understandable in this show. because it is a extremely convoluted concept if you think about it, of a sentinel that is basically a human but more sentinel than human, that is birthed from another sentinel. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough, but they did it. And you also like look at it and you're going, okay, you can see, and that's what makes
Mhm.
a great villain. Is Bastion is he's basically programming. He's he's not inherently evil. He's programmed this way. This is how his process works,
Yeah.
and then it's taken advantage of. But I love when you have what's her name? Is it Valerie Cooper? I think that's her name. When you have her in the government and she was like, "Heaven help me, Magneto was right." Like, you have human moments from these people
Hmm.
who are throwaway characters in the comic book. Like, Senator Kelly in the comic book's a joke. He's whatever the writer wants, and it's always back and forth. Like, in this show, you get a real sense of like, this guy's like, I trust you.
Yep.
I've been riding with you, but you know what? I got to think of humanity first. And right now, you're not doing me a solid. I would argue the least likable character in the show, and you might think I'm wrong, so far, the least likable character in the show I feel is Xavier. It's so hard to like really sympathize with him,
I
as
would
far
agree
as I'm
with that.
concerned.
I would
Yeah,
agree with that. Yeah,
but
I
I
don't think you're wrong.
loved Lilandra, loved that whole thing. I thought it was great. And I just love these human moments, like Rogue taking Gambit's coat and wearing it.
Mm.
I love the uniform change in the final episode where Wolverine goes to the brown, because that's always my favorite. But I like how Jean went to Marvel Girl and Cyclops went to, the Cockrum era, and it's amalgamation. It's not, a straight team. They did such a great job,
Yeah.
but I didn't
Oh,
see
it's
it
so
coming.
much fun.
I didn't see it coming. The only thing I'll say to you is this is the only plot hole I've come up with so far in the final episode. Why the fuck did Cyclops shoot Xavier with the beam? Like, where
I
does it make
think
sense?
I
Yeah,
think it's because they're trying to make sure that they take down Bastion at
right.
the same time or just at or before they take down Magneto for some reason.
Okay, okay.
And Xavier is taking Magneto out too soon.
Too early. Yeah.
Yeah, is the only thing I can think of, but I'll admit that I didn't quite get why he did that.
Yeah, because I didn't get it. Because I'm like,
Uh,
wait a minute. You want to take out Magneto. You want to stop him from doing this because he's ruining the Earth's axis. But at the same time, like, you taking him out, okay, isn't that one domino? And then it's like, okay, gold team, take out your domino. Like, how does it have to be the same time? And I know they're leading up, like, they're making you believe that Cable's going to kill Jean, but I don't
mhm.
think so. I think Cable's going to have a, this is technically my mother, even though it's not my mother moment, and things
Yeah.
will prevail at the end. I think, but I've been wrong like every turn. But this also, like we said, remember when we started doing the 92 review, and we
Mhm.
said one thing about the 92
We
show that
still
we
haven't
didn't,
finished that, and it's not that we're not going to go back to
and
it.
we
It's
will.
just, yeah, we
We
had
will.
a busy month.
Yeah, it's been all over the place. We've had a lot of guests, we've had a lot of wrestling, we've had a lot of things that have just taken charge. But like, the one thing we can agree is, for a kids cartoon, back then, it gave you some of the most amazing moments of using each character's power to the fullest when they
Yeah.
wanted to, like Storm. This show does it tenfold. I would say everyone's got a huge moment in this show so far. Even Morph, which is still, like, when he turned into the Hulk, I'm like, okay, but he's Morph. Like, how are you knocking Sentinels' heads off? So maybe there's something with the powers
There's,
that we don't know.
I think, in this one, Morph can take on a small part of a
Okay.
mutant's power, because if you
Right.
notice in one of the early episodes, they take on Quicksilver's power and they zoom around a lot, and then
Yeah,
all of a
right.
sudden they stop out and they're exhausted. So it's like they've got to have some kind of power mimic to a lesser degree
Yeah,
for a short period of time. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, and I'm
right.
honestly, I think it's fantastic. If that's what they want to do
I
and
do
that's
too.
how it goes, that's brilliant. I think that's fantastic.
I do too, because why not make Morph an
Yeah.
important character? Like, he was positioned after Mimic in the original X-Men comic book when
Mhm.
they put him in the cartoon. Like, why make him just the chameleon from Spider-Man who can just look like somebody? Yes, that helps you, but even Mystique has other skills other than just, shape changing, because you're gonna die in like a covert ops thing with the X-Men. So like, I like how they leveled him up a little bit.
Mm.
But so we have one episode left. It comes out this week. I I feel it's going to end on a giant cliffhanger. I don't know how they can wrap it up in 40 minutes. Like, there's just so much meat on the bone, and I'm excited for it.
I would be amazed if it wraps up. I don't think it will. I think they're going to set up the
Same.
next season.
Same. And like, that will be interesting to find out what the next season is. Like, the other thing is, Magneto dead? Like, did Logan kill him?
I don't imagine so, but I also don't know if we got the full part of that. So I know he definitely gave him a good gutting.
Stabbing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big time.
but I think Magneto's able to not heal so much, but
Okay.
prevent damage, because if he can keep the iron in his blood or some shit, I
Right.
don't know, because there's always a way that Magneto could do anything technically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's comic books. I mean, it's
yeah,
cartoons. I mean, they can explain it away. I mean, he's very OP in this comic. I mean,
yeah,
this cartoon. Like, he can fucking take you from Earth and fly you in outer orbit, and bring you to an asteroid. Yes, he gets tired, but he can still do it. So, I mean, it's just unreal. But, we will tackle this show in its entirety. I just needed to get like your initial reaction, and I'm
yeah.
really glad
The,
you finally
the,
saw it.
the funniest part about we'll tackle the show in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about it for the last half an hour, and we
I know.
still haven't touched on everything. So we know we're going to go back to it at some point.
Oh, dude, we barely scraped the surface. We touched about episode 5,
but
9.
I think that's good though, that we're able to get something out of our system, because otherwise we'll wax lyrical about it for a long time.
Well, yeah, dude. I was telling Matthew, oh my God, he's killing me. Like, he needs to see this so bad so I can at least gush about it with him. And we got a good amount of that. So I'm happy.
No, that's fantastic. Right. So we also were finally going to talk about
Yeah.
toys.
Yes.
I think I had a mental list of what had come out, or what had been revealed since the last time we talked about toys, which I actually thought was a lot longer ago than it was. Apparently we
When
did
was
it.
it? December?
No. So bearing in mind, I'm looking at the just the dashboard in graphic policy, where I can just see the post that I put up for this. Based on that, we have, I think we did toys in 263, which was April, the very beginning of April.
Okay, so only a month
So we
ago.
did. So we had Backlash. Life Doesn't Give You Seatbelts was the Batman one. Frank Martin. We dove into the comics industry with Matthew Klein. I don't even remember why he was on that episode. I just know we started talking about comics.
Yeah.
I think it may have just been Matthew who's coming in to shoot the shit, and I'm again always happy for that. I just didn't know if there was a WrestleMania or a wrestling thing, or we just, hey, do you want to come hang out?
Right.
But yeah, so 263 we spoke about toys.
Okay.
262 was WrestleMania, and 261 was the. So we haven't talked about X-Men 92, the cartoon, since the end of March.
That makes sense. That makes big sense, because the show came out on the 29th.
Sorry, middle. We haven't done it since the middle of March.
Yeah.
And then we did X-Men again a week later, because we were in an X-Men phase. Oh shit. Yeah. It's always interesting going through the old titles and seeing how none of them spark any kind of memory about what the episodes were about when I'm going.
Right. Yeah. So needless to say, even though it feels like I don't know, it felt like at least 3 months since we've talked about toys for sure. But okay, so
there's been a lot of reveals though that have come out So we're getting,
Exactly.
and you're going to have to help me 'cause I don't remember what's been revealed.
Yeah. So I would say let's just start with like what you've seen lately that
Okay.
you're excited about.
This isn't actually on my radar to buy, but I am so excited for the Ghost Rider with the bike. I'm so happy that folks who want that can get a chance to get it.
That makes sense to me because that's like everyone's one of their most wanted for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, it's not on my radar to pick up, but I'm happy that people are getting it. I'm also what is on my radar to pick up is the Hugh Jackman Wolverines coming out, and I don't know if they've been officially revealed yet, or if it's just me assuming that we're going to get figures of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds in the newest costumes for the upcoming movie. I am absolutely positive we're going to get another new Wolverine figure in his new costume for
Oh yeah.
the upcoming relaunch. I I think it's one of those things where I think there's a couple of things coming out still for Wolverine's anniversary this year.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good stuff coming, I think.
So Dan Young said that despite all the Wolverine figures that's been released, 2-packs and everything,
Mm.
his favorite of the year hasn't been revealed yet, and it will be revealed towards the end of summer.
Which is after the movie, which makes sense.
Right, but I honestly, knowing he's a comic guy, I don't think it's a movie. I think there's a comic um, iteration that we haven't seen yet that is kind of like slipping under the radar because I assumed when Astonishing was revealed, that was his his pick because basically it's mine.
Yeah, the Astonishing looks fantastic. I'm super excited for
Yeah,
that.
you ordered
I'm
it, right?
also wondering. I haven't found it online anyway yet.
Okay, I ordered it
It'll
for you.
okay, perfect. Yeah, I know it'll show up eventually at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Marvel
I say
Legends
that
are
like
tough,
it'll
but
show up
not as tough as they
eventually.
used to be.
No, exactly. It's well, we were talking about this off camera, I think, or maybe even on camera. And we say off camera and on camera so often.
I
We
know,
are
I
aware
know.
we're an audio only podcast. We've tried to
Right.
do it video. I think
Yep.
what episode 100
Oh,
we were going to do video, but then we thought, oh, do it with
yeah.
two. Then we're
2
going to do it
and
with
yeah.
three. We'll do it when we do it, and
Mhm.
it's going to. I think I said initially be like something ridiculous like 287 or whatever.
It should be
It's
like 299. You know what I mean? Just
it
like Walking Dead style.
yeah, just add end.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This is one of those episodes where I
It's okay.
have completely forgotten we're on a show half the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, this is a great escape for me tonight.
yeah,
I mean, he's sleeping right next to me. I need this. I'm really happy that I didn't say, you know what, we'll do it in the morning because I am tired. But
yeah.
once we started talking, you like invigorated me. So like
Yeah.
I'm
No,
good to go.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm like I figured that you would want to sleep in. I can cut this bit too, but I figured you'd want to sleep in
No,
if
you're fine.
you wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
let me
Toys.
I'll
Yeah.
save us.
You go because you pretty know what we have.
So basically, since we've last talked, like you even have in hand your Sabretooth and Wolverine. Like I
Mhm.
have none of those packs yet. Like I'm still waiting for Big Bad Toy
I
Store to come in with Sabretooth and Wolverine.
I still haven't taken Joe Fix out of the box yet because I don't have anywhere to put him. But
He's awesome.
the tuxedo Wolverine is out because that goes on my Wolverine shelf.
Yeah, they did a
You
great job with that
yeah.
set. I underestimated it. I played with it at a good friend's because I canceled it. I was like, you know what? I've got to
I
cut
don't need it.
down. Yeah, and then
If it
I was like,
wasn't Wolverine, I would 100% not have. Or if I wasn't a big
yeah,
Wolverine fan, I am. I would. There's no way I would have picked that up.
yeah,
I'm surprised I didn't pick up the Psylocke 2-pack with Wolverine, but then I already have that figure. I just don't have it. It's the slightly worse version,
yeah, yeah.
and and the head isn't as good. But I don't. I've got so many Wolverine heads that I can put an
Right.
unmasked one on that one if I really want to. So I've so far refrained from getting that, but if I do see the figure loose somewhere for the right price, I might grab that one anyway, just because. But I don't need that side up.
So I'm a big creature. I mean, of FOMO. Obviously, that's everyone gave me a
You
nickname.
FOMO?
Yeah, but like I tend to like once the moment subsides, cooler heads prevail lately. It's not 2020 anymore where I'm just endless capital buying everything that exists. So I'm just like, oh, you know what? Joe Fixit and Wolverine, patch. I don't need it right now. It will go on sale. And sure shit, it hasn't sold out. Same with Lady Psylocke. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I've always wanted this version of Betsy.
Mhm.
But like, I'm like, I can get her down the road. I know I can. So like, I've let it go. The Wolverines, we're in like a renaissance for Marvel Legends Wolverines
Mhm.
right now. Like they just keep getting better and better. Still, my favorite one is the Strike Force 275 Wolverine. I love that head. It's
Yeah.
perfect. But
I
there are other
am
better ones.
I am gonna be amazed if we don't start getting all of the Wolverines we've just had re-released on that new body. I don't think you'll get a new Tiger Stripe Wolverine for a while, but I
No, we
wouldn't be
need a brown.
surprised if. Yeah, I think you'll get a brown costume Wolverine on that body.
Yeah. But will we get it for 97? That's my guess is
I
we'll get
think
it.
I think you'll get it for season 2 of 97.
Well, I think we'll get it wave 3 of the 97 figures. Like the
Yeah,
two
okay.
that I
That's
think
yeah.
are coming, 100% I think we're getting a single carded 97 Bastion.
Yep.
It just makes sense. And then I think we're getting brown suit Wolverine. Other than that, I'd say maybe Jubilee in like her vampire getup and a couple others, but like brown suit Wolverine and Bastion, I would hang my hat on for sure. But for stuff that's been revealed, you already ticked off the big one, like Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch. Not only is it one that everyone's wanted forever, including myself, but they pulled it off in a way that even though it's Marvel Legends and it's a plastic bike, just the little added touches of like the fire kickstand and all the things that like for the price you're getting it is unreal. Like it's incredible. It I haven't canceled it yet. I still have the classic Ghost Rider from Mezco on order, the blue one, but it's very close because yes, Mezco has LEDs, but I started thinking, I'm like, how often do I ever use an LED feature on a figure? And it's almost never, almost absolutely never. Like it's a selling point, but then when I get it, I don't ever either put the batteries in or just use the feature. And that's a funny thing. So I was like, okay, so other than the LEDs, what does the Mezco have? Yeah, it has an amazing sculpt and this and that, but it's also $240. The Marvel Legends is what, $49.99? It's a full package.
Something like that, yeah.
It's the 90s Ghost Rider I want with my new Fantastic Four finally. So I'm like, yeah, that was an immediate pickup. Astonishing X-Men Wolverine was revealed. That was an immediate pickup for me too, because it's one of my favorite runs of all time. It was when I was super heavy into X-Men. It brought me back after like it wasn't Joe Madureira, but I forget who was writing it. It might have been Scott Lobdell, but like it was just all over the place when Joe Madureira left. And then when they did this reboot with Joss Whedon on his own title, it sucked me right in. Like I loved it. So I was like, okay, I won't start collecting Astonishing until they make a Wolverine because I've always dug this version, and they did it perfect. So I was like, all right, well, I guess now I'm in for Scott and Emma. I got no choice. I got to go back.
Yeah.
And it's not like those are
I'm in
bad
it now.
figures. Yeah, and they're not bad figures, so it's like not a big deal, and they're not expensive. So that was a happy surprise. The big one for me was finally doing a superior Spider-Man that lives up to the name and captures, the awk version of the character at its top. And they just killed it. So I'm like, yep, I'm in for that. And then what was the other thing they did? Oh, the coup pack of Danny Rand and Luke Cage that everyone's been asking
Yeah.
for freaking years. I don't care about the Luke Cage, but the Danny Rand's fucking perfect. Despite, oh, it's not a deep V, it's a U. I don't care. Perfect. It looks
It's good
amazing.
enough. Yep.
Yeah. So that was a buy. And then it's funny that we're talking toys today because Warbird went up. the Carol Danvers.
and
I
almost
don't know, it
immediately sold out.
sold out in like 9 seconds. So like
Yeah,
Dan Yoon put up an apology.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
think so. What happened, to my understanding, is that Target didn't have the balance or the checks and balances of you can only order
hmm
so many, so people just got as
Right.
many as they possibly wanted.
Yeah, the bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, which always happens,
Oh,
unfortunately.
always. Yeah.
You know, it's a scalper system off the top. But, I was talking to people in my group because I'm friends with a lot of toy community people.
Yeah.
And I obviously my head was in the clouds today. I was busy for, what I was going through, but I poked in for a second and people were losing their mind like it was Chernobyl. Like they were like, "Oh my God, how did this happen?" And I'm just sitting there going, "Dude, it's Target. Yes, it will sell out on the app, but I guarantee you will be kicking these things around in store once they
It,
start releasing. For
yeah,
sure."
for sure. It's the
Yeah.
same everywhere. Like it will sell out. It will be very hard to get. It's the same as
Mhm.
the astonishing Wolverine. Like just because you can't get it anywhere right now, in about a month and a half, you'll find it everywhere.
Exactly. Marvel Legends, they are tough at times, but
Yeah.
they're usually pretty plentiful. Like that's one thing Hasbro does is distribution very well because they know it's money. So like it's not like a wave of it goes out and then you're shit out of luck. They usually send multiple waves and this and that and whatnot. The only Marvel Legends that are tough right now are the ones we collected back in like 2020. Those are
Yeah.
hard. But other than that, you can find just about everything. And why not? Marvel Legends, in my view, is killing it again. Everything they've released or, solicited is a banger. So you have that Danny Rand 2-pack. Then you have Scar, Son of Hulk, on a deluxe figure. He looks
Yes, you do.
great. Am I
He
going to get him?
does.
He does look great. But do I need him? No. Honestly, I don't. And I can say that. I like him, but I would be getting him just to get him. And he'll end up getting sold. And I'm like, you know what, just cut out the middleman, don't do it. But for the people who want Scar, get
Right.
him
And
because
I
if you
think
get
that's
him,
what that's one of those things. That's what we seem to have grown into, gotten used to,
Mhm.
is that we don't need
Every
to,
figure.
we don't need every figure. And if it's there and you don't have to grab it, wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not a worry.
Yeah, you don't have the completest shackles on you anymore. Like I had those on for so long where I was like, oh crap, I need to have everything of everything I collect. And then it just got exhausting and burnout and not fun. Like I missed a couple things and then I was hyper focused on those ones I missed. And in a couple of cases, like with NECA Turtles, I went back and got the exclusive and came across it and had it for a couple months and then got rid of it because
Mm,
it didn't do anything. It was just a
a thing.
FOMO induced need that wasn't tangible. And I was like, that's not the way to collect. Like, and I watched many people online and toy reviews and people give like
Yeah.
philosophies, and they were like, if it doesn't spark joy, why you have it? And I was
It's
like, holy shit.
the Mary Kondo, right? Like if it doesn't spark joy,
hmm
why do you have it?
Exactly. So like, that's been a freeing mindset. But just because it doesn't spark joy for me, the great thing about Marvel Legends is it's so vast and so diverse that yeah, I might go, oh, this wave sucks. It's a snooze. But that might be the exact wave that someone else who's been frothing is waiting for.
Yeah.
And that's cool too. You know what I mean? Plus, I like not having to collect 7 figures out of 7 figures. I like being able to go, oh, I only
I
like
don't
these
need that.
two. Exactly.
Agreed. I
So,
agree.
yeah.
I think that just because I have a giant Wolverine collection doesn't mean it's something that you're going to want. You don't need every single Wolverine figure. No one needs every single Wolverine figure unless
No.
that's what you're aiming for.
Mhm.
I'm not going for specific multiple teams of Wolverine. I'm just getting the ones as they're coming out because I
Mhm.
think a lot of them are fantastic. the X-Men '97 Wolverine is still out, along with the three Love Triangle Wolverine. It's just at this point is these are the different versions of the same character.
Right.
I'm inevitably at some point going to have to start putting some of them in storage, but right now I don't need to.
No, it makes sense. I mean, because your first love for comic books is Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like mine is for Batman. Like, do I collect every single Batman that Todd McFarlane puts out? I was, and then I realized how dumb it was because some of them I was like, I don't give a shit about this Batman. He looks awful.
Mm.
So like, I started collecting, the Batmans that sing to me, like, and I start branching off to other companies, like whatever is going to do the most faithful and appreciative take on the character that I love for each iteration, I usually gravitate to. Like I don't have this tribalism thing where it's like I have to collect only McFarlane or Mafex or whatever. I don't. If they make the figure I like in one line, I get it. If they make it in the other line, I get it. And like I don't have a crazy rule that it's like I can't mix my Mafex with my McFarlane's on my shelf. Like it's no, it's
Does it work?
representation.
Like,
It's art.
does it look good? Does it work? Then get it. Like
Yeah.
that's your thing.
Yeah. And then every now and then you come across like a friggin' release like the Fawn Joy that I sent you and Matthew
Yeah.
with the Ben Affleck, which is damn near a scaled down hot toy. It's incredible.
I
It's
assumed it was a
$50.
hot toy.
I know.
Yeah, I
Everyone
assumed
did.
it was a hot toy until wait, that's way too small to be a hot toy based on the size of Joe's hand.
Yeah, exactly. And when I put it next to Spawn or another
Yeah.
McFarlane, people were like, "Oh my god!" But that was like a complete out of the blue. This company is just like left field starting up, and they nailed Ben Affleck to the T.
Yep.
So I was like, "Hell yeah!" The Henry Cavill is absolute dog shit. It is horrifically bad. It's super lanky, skinny, but looks nothing like him. And I'm like, how is this company doing this and this? But maybe they'll get better. But the point is, if I don't like it, I don't have to grab it. I don't have to go, oh, well, it's
No.
Batman. I mean, I got to get it. No, just collect what brings you joy. And right now, Marvel Legends is doing some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because for a while, people have done nothing but complain about the reuse and the stuff that is cutting corners. Well, they cut corners and did those reuses all those times so that you could see what you see now. And the one
Exactly.
thing I also like about Marvel Legends, it's not fast enough for everyone's cup of tea, but they are always re-engineering at some level. They're
Yeah.
tweaking their figures. You know what I mean? So I love it. I mean, they have a lot of good stuff coming out. The problem is they have too much good stuff coming out. Like it's hard to keep up with. And I've tried to go the route of, oh, I'm only an X-Men and Spider-Man collector. Oh, I will get the occasional Fantastic Four. Oh, I pepper in some Avengers. It now boils down to basically my collection might as well be a giant thing of Exiles because I just collect what I want because it's too impossible to complete teams at this point.
I agree. Like I'm only collecting the X-Men that fit within a certain parameter that I've set, and I've told you we're well aware that I'll do my Star Wars at around like episode 6,
Right.
the Mandalorian era. That's kind of where I'm sticking. It's just what I prefer.
Yeah, and it's healthy too. Like you have parameters.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just looked up Florida's 3-0.
Yeah, I wasn't going to tell you.
Jesus. Wow. Well,
I
mean,
saw they get the third one. Like, shit.
I have a feeling this is going to be a series of game 7s. If the Bruins are on track, this is a trek of game 7s in some way or form.
I think that. Excuse me. I think that if this goes to game 7, no matter which team goes up against the Rangers, because I don't think the Rangers are going to need game 6 to take out Carolina.
Right. Right.
And they also started as Vegas and Dallas ended, or before Vegas and Dallas ended. So for whatever reason, New York is on game 4 tomorrow, whereas
Hmm.
Edmonton are on game 2 tonight. Like the scheduling is so
Yeah,
messed up.
I know.
And Dallas, Colorado are game 3 tomorrow, right? So like you've
Right.
got game 2, 3, and 4 within 2 days of each other for two different series, and Boston, Florida are game 3. So for whatever reason, New York and Carolina are a game ahead, and it it irritates me just because I don't like the fact that any, and it doesn't matter which team it is, but I don't like the fact that any
Hmm.
team is that much more rest between
Yeah.
series. I don't like the fact that Vegas and Dallas started as late as they did. I
Hmm.
know there are people like, oh, it's because Vegas needed to get some more rest because Vegas is everyone's favorite, the league's favorite.
Yeah.
One could like, I mean, why did Dallas get the rest? So now you've
Right.
got Dallas playing Colorado. Like Dallas basically haven't stopped playing a game every other day since the playoffs started.
Yeah, which is nuts.
And yeah, and now they're going to Colorado, which is up in altitude, which is notoriously hard to play in.
Yeah,
So
I mean, jumping to hockey for a sec because it's on in my background.
yeah,
Let's face it, it's playoffs, but it's kind of a pick 'em. Like if you think of it on its head, the Bruins took Game 7 to defeat the Leafs. Florida was rested as fuck. Like they
yeah.
should technically be dominant, but
Hmm.
people are shocked because of everyone's pegged the Bruins to take the Stanley Cup this year. Like all the
I
experts, like everyone has pegged them.
honestly, do you know my final that I had this year before it even started was Vancouver, New York.
Which might, well, yeah, well, New York, yeah,
I
probably.
think New York is likely. I think the West is up for grabs because there are so many good teams in the West.
Yeah, agreed.
So many good teams. Like the fact that Vegas was the eighth seed when
Yeah.
they, right, like they were injured for sure coming
Hmm.
in, and but they're still a great team as an eight seed.
Yeah.
Nashville, I think Nashville are the only team that were there that may have that I think you could do. Okay, well, I don't see them getting past the first round, but anyone else, I was thinking Winnipeg would take out Colorado. I thought
Hmm.
that Edmonton would go to 6 games with LA, but it was less than that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I couldn't successfully get the West. I didn't know how the West was going to go. I haven't been
Hmm.
wrong so far in the East.
No,
Like everything,
you're pretty spot on, dude.
yeah.
You are.
My East bracket is pretty spot on. So.
But the thing is also like in the scheme of things I just looked up, I had to remind myself that the series is tied 1-1 right now.
Yeah,
Someone's got to go 2-1. So it looks like we're on track to lose tonight, which
given that
probably
it's
will
4-0
happen.
down, yes, you're probably right.
Yeah. So it'll probably happen,
Yeah.
but it's no way over. They got to
No.
go back to Boston. Yeah. So it's like I have to get myself out of that Boston mentality because that's ingrained in me. And I think Matthew laughed. Like, I am such a pessimist, like, such a fucking pessimist. Like, the other game where we got shellacked, we were down, what was it? We went up 1-0. And I was like riding high. And then as soon as it went 2-1, I was like, well, okay, this one's probably done. My cousin's like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's still a whole fucking game. And then it went 4-1, 5-1. And he's like, okay, okay. But like, I have that mentality. I have
Yeah.
that defeatist, okay, well, it's probably done. In the scheme of things, I'm just happy they made it out of the first round. That's not a consolation for me, but I didn't want to be the first team in history to go back to back where they
Blow
were
3-1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, right now it's Florida. They're probably going to win this one. It's 4-0. Like, I mean, it's third period. Did he just get another fucking goal? Oh, I thought he did. Anyways, bring it
Why was
back.
there an 8-minute power play for high sticking?
I
Like,
have no idea.
did he
What,
did he
from
break his
period one?
period 2, Mason Laurie, 8 minutes for high sticking? Did he fucking rip someone's eye out?
Yeah, that's very excessive. Like, what the hell? I didn't
I'll
even
look.
see
I'll
it.
look that up. Anyway, folks, we appreciate you sticking with us. We're clearly off the
Yeah,
rails at this point.
we are now
Um,
gonna bring it home.
yeah,
Um,
this is clearly one of those episodes where we even joked about it. Oh, we're going to forget we're on a podcast sooner or later, and we did.
exactly.
And we're now just talking hockey, and now we realize that we're still recording. We probably should bring it home. We obviously don't have any final thoughts because we've long exhausted those. We
Yeah.
promised that we'll actually give you a better toy show later.
Yeah,
Because
we will
neither
do
one
a
of us were
more
really. Yeah.
more deep dive into toys. Because there is
I
actually a funny story that I can bring up. I
yeah,
almost brought it up during this.
I'm actually curious what your list of Marvel Legends that you want to come out,
We can do
or
that right
yeah,
now.
or what, or not. I couldn't do it right now because I can't remember what's being released, but what your list of things that you want to see. So we'll think about
We'll
that.
do
I don't.
that. Yeah, we'll do that
We won't
very
say we'll do
soon.
it next week because
No,
let's
no,
face it, we
we will do
probably
it
won't.
at
But
some point. That's
oh,
going to
it's
be
four. Yeah, it's
the
4-1
new
now.
charge. Yeah, yeah, I just saw that. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's always hope, but like,
You never say never.
I
But
know. I've learned.
I mean,
I've
Colorado
really
came
learned.
back from 4-0 down,
Hmm.
3-0 down. So
Exactly.
you never know. Yeah. So as you can tell, we're off the rails. I've not edited any of this. I will not edit any of this.
Nope.
You're welcome. I hope you have a great Sunday, Saturday, whatever day you're listening. It comes out on Sunday. So I hope you have a great Sunday. Have a good week ahead, and we will catch you when we catch you.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.